My husband Mark and I lost our son 3 years ago. Even writing that sentence still feels unreal. Our son Daniel was 10 years old. He loved two things more than anything: dinosaurs and riding his bike. He could name every dinosaur you could imagine, and he had this bright red bicycle that he treated like it was a race car. Every evening after dinner, he would ride around our neighborhood while Mark walked our dog beside him. It was their routine, their thing. And that's why what happened that day destroyed everything. It was a Sunday afternoon in early summer. Daniel had been begging all morning to try the new bike trail that had opened near the park. Mark promised he'd take him after lunch. I remember standing at the kitchen sink when they left. Daniel had his helmet on crooked like always, and Mark fixed it while teasing him.
Safety first, champ.
Daniel laughed and said, "Mom, Dad worries too much." Those were the last words I heard him say. About 20 minutes later, I got the phone call. A stranger's voice, shaky, panicked. "There's been an accident." Apparently, Daniel had been riding ahead of Mark down a small hill near the park entrance. A car came around the corner too fast. The driver tried to brake, but it was too late. Daniel died before the ambulance arrived. Mark was right there. He saw everything. The police later told us the driver wasn't drunk, not texting, just driving too fast around a blind corner. Technically, it was ruled an accident, but Mark never accepted that. He blamed himself. He said he should have made Daniel slow down. He should have walked closer. He should have chosen a different route. He should have... The should-haves never stopped. The first few months after Daniel died were like living inside a fog. Our house was silent. His toys stayed exactly where he left them. His dinosaur books were still stacked on his bedside table. Neither of us had the heart to move anything. At first, Mark and I leaned on each other. We cried together, slept next to each other. Sometimes we'd sit in Daniel's room and just talk about him for hours. But slowly, Mark changed. The guilt started eating him alive. He began drinking. At first, it was just a couple beers at night to help him sleep. Then it became whiskey. Then it became whiskey every afternoon. I suggested therapy, grief counseling, a support group. He refused. "Therapy won't bring him back," he'd say. Over time, Mark became colder. Not angry, just distant. Like he was building walls between us brick by brick. He stopped talking about Daniel entirely. If I brought him up, Mark would just leave the room. The drinking got worse. He stopped coming to family events, stopped seeing friends, stopped doing anything except going to work and sitting in the garage with a bottle afterward. Sometimes I'd walk out there and just sit with him. The smell of alcohol hung in the air. "Mark," I'd say gently, "you don't have to carry this alone." He'd stare at the floor and reply,
Yes, I do.
One night, about a year after the accident, I finally asked the question that had been haunting me. "Do you blame yourself?" He laughed, not a happy laugh.
The police say it was an accident,
He said.
but I was the adult. I was supposed to protect him.
"You couldn't control a speeding car."
I could have stopped him from going down that hill.
"You don't know that."
But what if I could have?
That was the problem. Mark lived in the world of what if, and in that world, he was always guilty. As the years passed, the distance between us grew. We still lived in the same house, but it felt like we were strangers renting separate rooms. Sometimes days would pass without more than a few words between us. I missed him, not just as my husband, but as the man he used to be. The dad who chased Daniel around the backyard pretending to be a T-Rex. The man who used to dance with me in the kitchen while dinner burned on the stove. That man was gone, and alcohol had taken his place. Then, last week, something happened that forced everything into the open. It was Daniel's birthday. He would have turned 13. Every year on his birthday, I visit the small memorial near the park where the accident happened. There's a tree there with flowers and a little plaque. Mark had never come with me. Not once. But that morning I asked him again, "Will you come with me today?" He didn't even look up from his coffee.
No.
I felt something snap inside me. 3 years of grief, 3 years of silence, 3 years of watching the man I love slowly destroy himself. "You're not the only one who lost him," I said. Mark's jaw tightened.
I know.
"Then why do you act like you're the only one allowed to grieve?" He slammed his mug on the counter.
Because I killed him.
The words hit me like a punch. "You did not kill him."
I let him ride ahead.
"That's not killing him."
I was supposed to protect him.
"And you did everything a normal parent would do." Mark stood up suddenly.
You don't understand.
"No," I said, my voice shaking. "You don't understand. I never blamed you, not for a second. But you've been punishing both of us for 3 years." His face hardened.
I deserve it.
"Maybe you think you do," I said, "but Daniel wouldn't." That made him freeze. I kept going. "Do you think Daniel would want his dad drinking himself into oblivion every night? Do you think he'd want us living like strangers?" Mark didn't answer, so I said the thing I'd been afraid to say for years. "You didn't kill our son. But if you keep doing this, you're going to destroy what's left of our family." The room went completely silent. For a moment, I thought he might yell. Instead, he just looked broken. Then he quietly said something I didn't expect.
I don't know how to stop blaming myself.
That was the first honest thing he'd said in years, so I walked over and took his hand. "You start by not doing it alone." I told him I'd already booked a grief counseling appointment for both of us. Mark didn't say yes, but for the first time in 3 years, he didn't say no either. Later that evening, he did something that shocked me. He grabbed his car keys. "Where are you going?" I asked. He hesitated. Then he said quietly,
To see Daniel.
We drove to the park together for the first time since the accident. Mark stood in front of that tree for a long time. Then he knelt down and whispered something I couldn't hear. When he stood up, his eyes were full of tears, but something about him felt lighter. Not healed, not even close, but maybe, finally, beginning. So now I'm wondering, AITA for confronting my husband and telling him our son's death wasn't his fault, even if he still believes it is? Because part of me worries I pushed too hard, but another part of me thinks it might have been the only way to bring him back.